What was the reaction like to get the news that the change was being made offensive coordinator?
Yeah, it's one of those things that where you're talking about a person with a family, a person who I can speak from, that really loved his players, was putting his best foot forward. A lot of respect for him. I think it just shows that this game, it's moving on. It's a brutal business, and I can only speak so much for the person, and really respected him and appreciated how he respected us as humans and as men. So, in that regards, I wish him and his family nothing but the best, because he put his best foot forward for us, and everything he did, all the countless hours he spent behind the scenes were for the betterment of this team. Now, it didn't work out, and that doesn't mean that he didn't give it his all. So, really respect him for that.
Separate of the human part of it, which is obviously important, what was the jolt like? And was it something that you think this offense needed?
I don't know if it's fair for me to speak on that. I know that we have all the confidence in the world in Joe and the charisma he brings about himself, and his stance and on stuff, and it's one of those things that we're just taking it one moment at a time with him, and respect him as a coach. So we're going to do our best to put ourselves in a position collectively, coaches and players included, to come out Sunday and compete.
Sean talked about it being a new beginning. Spence talked about calling it a rebirth. Is that kind of a sense of turning the page to move forward for the rest of the season, especially with a new OC?
Yeah, I think there's things that are working that we would like to continue with, and there's things that weren't. I think it's just dependent on the person you ask. For me, I'm just here to whatever play is called and whoever's calling them, to execute that to the best of our ability.
What about Joe specifically has you encouraged going forward?
I think he's just got a really great offensive mind, has a grasp of this offense and what the players here, what they do the best, and also, he's in Josh's ear all day, so he knows Josh very well. So in the end, it's about what makes 17 comfortable and what makes everyone else comfortable, and it'll be an ongoing thing of figuring that out and trying to put together complete games on Sundays.
Players are naturally down because of when somebody gets fired, and you obviously have ties to these people and good ties to them. Sean talked about confidence and energy. How do you recapture that, knowing that you've lost a coordinator, and how do you recapture that going into Sunday?
Yeah, I think you attest to the fact that no one in that locker room or in that offensive meeting didn't respect Dorsey as a person and as a coach. He's just a really good man, and it's sad that it didn't work in this instance. And I'm not going to say what was or what wasn't, because I don't totally know. It's not my place. Listen, we just have to take it one moment at a time. And I know if you guys have interviewed me before, that's the horse is dead and we're beating the hell out of it. But it's true, and we're not going to. It's not going to be instantly a light switch flips and we're all, completely different, rolling around. It's going to take. It's one moment at a time, man. It's like what can we do in this rep and this walkthrough or this minute and this meeting, and compound those so that on Sundays we can execute.
In talking to Josh just now, he was obviously taking it very personally. How do you support him when obviously his confidence matters so much to this offense too?
The one thing you respect about 17 is how he puts a lot on his shoulders and how this is his offense. And for us, we always have his back, or whoever might feel that they are down in a certain way. Like 17 is a guy who's led us through a lot of good football. and he has a lot of good football ahead of him. We just have to have his back, and we have to do our job and not do too much, and so that he can execute his job at the highest level.
The quarterback along those lines has to have some extent be bulletproof. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to have a feeling like ultimate self-belief. You know, no matter if you just threw an interception.
Sure.
So, like after Sunday's game, did you do anything, or how do you make sure you help Josh have that?
Listen, Josh is extremely competitive and holds himself to a high standard, like I just said. For us, it's just, it's not a guy that you need to hold his hand or say anything in a certain way. Like, he is an extreme competitor. I think it's just a subtle thing that you just tell the guy that we've got his back implicitly, emphatically, which we do. I mean, there's no other guy we want to do this with. I can't do this with another guy, you know what I mean? So, we're all just trying to hone in and do our job a little better. And then you doing that, it usually correlates to helping the guy around you.
For this Sunday, what about the Jets' defense is the biggest headache?
Oh, man, I think that's how multiple they are, how competitive they are individually. They're just extremely talented football players, fly around. They try to blow stuff up and be as physical as possible. And for us, it'll be matching that competitive drive. I mean, they're finishing towards the ball. It's just a very good defense and run very well and very passionate. And it'll be up to us to match that competitive drive that they have.
Mitch, you faced a lot of good defenses, obviously, but it feels like, especially really going back to last year, this Jets defense has maybe given you guys more trouble than any other defense you've played. Is that fair to say? Or
I think they tout a formidable front seven, and not only that, and their back end's very talented. They know what defense they want to run. They execute it well, and they force you to make mistakes. And I just think they're very physical, and for us, it's about matching that physicality.
Is it encouraging a little to watch video of other teams, good teams, and say, "Oh yeah, well, it isn't just us; they're doing it to them too."
Yeah, well, it's a catch-22, because I think when you look at that team in general, that defense seems to feed that team, and just. They play with such drive, no matter if they're down or up. They're still super competitive in how they play and how they want to affect the quarterback and attack. So it'll be a great challenge.